We are back in the warehouse for Blitzball Battle 4. Trevor Plouffe is officially old. Let's talk Blitzball. Welcome to the Blitzball Boys, the podcast about ball sports in the warehouse, but lately about Blitzball. I am your co-host, Brendan Ruppel, along with my fellow host, Peter Del Rey.
Hey, Brendan.
Hey.
I wanted to see how long you'd go. We don't have a panic button.
I could add like a minute of nothing in between.
A minute of Roulette Me Love You?
Yes. If
There's no way that you put that in another episode, by the way.
You'll have to listen back. And all, our lovely listeners, will have to listen back.
Through
our entire catalog again. Let us know.
All right. I guess I'm going to do it again. Mm-hmm. Inflate those numbers, baby. But we're here. Rematch for the first time since BB1.
Well, and I heard that stat. It was kind of crazy. I didn't know that was a thing. I guess it's just the way the schedule shook out. But
in a way, this is the rubber match.
It was
there were two in Blitzball Battle 1.
The championship was the one that Baggage lost, obviously.
Yep, and the semifinal Baggage won. Remember, because Vinny and Trev had that whole thing of like, we wanted an extra game.
Mm-hmm. That is kind of always how Trevor spins losses. Is like, well, it doesn't really matter now, so I figured I'd save myself. Or like, we want an extra game,
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Marshall is I think I like Marshall more than anybody I've ever liked in the warehouse before.
More than anybody's ever liked in my entire life. I think I have a crush on Marshall.
I think I have a crush on Marshall. But Baggage versus Rotten, not the game we were expecting.
No, I think when I previewed Baggage, because Peter didn't do shit.
I didn't do shit.
I felt like Baggage was going to come out swinging with the new stands, and Jake is back, and they're going to score some runs. And you can always expect some big bopping from Trev. And we get walk-off walk. Instead,
don't you dare.
0-0 all the way through the game until the very end.
I mean, yeah.
Crazy.
It's weird because it didn't really feel like Jimmy and Jake like didn't hit well, because they did, but it was, all singles what they did.
Yeah.
And then Trev was clearly off his game. Mm-hmm. I think Jake said it in the post game. It usually takes a day and a half to get back into the swing of things in the warehouse.
Yeah.
So Trev will be there. He'll get back. Sure. But in this game, man, he did not look like himself.
Even like some of the at-bats, and we'll talk about it, obviously, but some of the at-bats that he walked, still like a couple. I feel like he got walked and he was like, whew, good thing, because I was whiffing on whatever was coming down the strike zone. Hole in his bat. But
who said that?
I'm not sure.
Hole in his bat, one man tug of war.
I was telling my boss about that term today. I was like, we got a new term.
Do you I was re-listening to the episode. I want to make crystal clear. That is not an existing term. That is something that I came up with.
I told him. I was like,
sound bites.
I think we were making another reference to the self-stroke. And I was like, I have a new one for you that I heard last night. He didn't mean to do it, and it was one of the better ones I've heard. I might start using it more often.
I definitely did not mean to do it.
It's good.
Well, you're one man tug of war. But
I hope it catches on.
It's going to catch on. It's a season of sound bites.
It's a season of sound bites.
The season of sound bites. Brendy, before we get too off topic, do you want to set some things on fire? Watch it burn.
I'm going to set my rope on fire.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, it's your turn to come up with one, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying.
The Blitzball boys after dark.
Okay. Time for a burn.
Okay. Too hot.
It's Rotten versus Baggage as these two former powerhouses match up for the first time in forever. Frozen. Trevor and his brother are looking to do damage early, but somebody call a fire marshal because Jake's bringing the high heat. He strikes out Trevor twice in one inning, throwing him mostly fastballs. Baggage comes to the plate, trying to repeat their college days as they flirt with scoring on some singles, but they come up empty in the end. Still scoreless into the second. Jimmy hands the ball to Jake after 2 huge outs, and like a protective bird, he's able to keep the goose egg safe. Baggage then wins their least favorite way ever, but they still won. Baggage wins them.
What's their least favorite way ever?
Walks. I mean, they hate it so much that Jake almost prolonged the game for them.
Yeah. Did you do the Goldmember thing on purpose?
Yes, we were talking about Goldmember off pod beforehand, and it was planned before our conversation.
I feel like the number one recurring joke you do in your burns is do a Goldmember like.
Yeah.
I would say in every 3 burns, you get a Goldmember in there.
I think so. I you know what? I think this is the season where I start to get more like reuses in, because Jake does a lot of burns where it's like, oh, he did the thing that he does.
Yeah.
Again, like I want to get some staples in my rotation. Staples.
Good job, though. Goldmember, famously Brendan's favorite movie.
Yep, it's a good movie.
I don't know if that's true. It's his favorite Austin Powers.
What do you think it's got on Rotten Tomatoes? We were just talking about how Master of Disguise has 1% Rotten Tomatoes. I want to say
Master
Goldmember
of Disguise has a critics rating of 1%.
Also low, but I want to say
Are we doing
23%.
Critics? Are we getting
critics score? Yes.
Okay.
But it's also in the age where maybe comedies weren't so
48.
widely hated.
I'm going to say 48.
Okay.
Goldmember. Where's the Rotten Tomato? 53%.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we got good
Audience score 44. Are people out of their fucking minds?
That's crazy.
That's crazy. International Man of Mystery got a 77 audience score, 73 critics.
Jesus Christ.
Spy
They're all
Who
the same
Shagged
movie, just
Me.
different jokes.
They're all the same exact movie. The Spy Who Shagged Me, 71 audience rating, 53. How do you mind? You're saying
Goldmember fans rise up
rating.
and mention us in the comments.
Mention us in the comments. We're both Goldmember fans.
Yeah.
We were quoting the whole movie before.
We're not going to do it again now because we have a game to get to. But we have a game to get to. So badly. Where do we begin? I guess we begin with
we begin at the beginning.
First inning, right?
We begin at the beginning.
Wow.
Season of sound bites. Take a trip with us as we begin in the beginning.
Peter's audiobook.
This is my audiobook. Hello, I'm Peter Del Rey, and come with me as we begin in the beginning.
I think you should recreate all of the Blitzball Boys catalog in audiobook.
In audiobook?
Yeah.
Or what about in director's cut fashion? So the podcast is still playing, and then I'm just talking and talking over myself.
That's a good idea.
All right.
Maybe some fans of ours will do commentary on our show.
Our one fan of ours. Me. Everybody else is a pity listen.
That's true.
But yeah, we start off Jake big time striking out Trevor. What a way to start the game.
Yeah.
MVP versus MVP.
And the first one you can kind of excuse, like, all right, he's just seeing the ball. Jake looks good. Jake's got the strike zone on lock.
Yeah.
He's mostly just throwing him fastballs. Trevor's going to see this eventually. But good big K from
good
Jake.
Big. Did your fire marshal line, was that a Marshall Plouffe line?
Yes.
Nice.
Got to mention him.
Love him. I love the guy.
Yeah, me too.
He's a superstar. And speaking of him, second at bat, rips a single up the right? Mm-hmm. And I thought that Marshall was going to be an absolute fucking problem.
Yeah, that hit
in this
me. I was like, no one should know how to do that in the warehouse this early. That's like some next level. And the blitzball too. Like that's when you can't get a good read on a pitch, and you're like, let me just poke it out there and get a quick single. That's definitely some good gamesmanship on his part. It didn't look like it looked like a planned ground this the other way, not just like a excuse me swing.
It did. And then he pretty much outed himself. He was like, I didn't do that on purpose.
Yeah.
and then
but it might have been more instinctual than he realized, though.
Jake gave a walk and then got 2 strikeouts. Jake was pitching great.
Jake was doing a great job in the way that he found was like sometimes he tinkers a little bit too much in the game. Maybe when he doesn't have a good feel.
Tinker time.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. He'll just like use.
Do you know where that's from?
No.
There was a TV show called The League, and it was about people who were in a
I never
fantasy
watched
football
that.
league
I
together.
know of it. I like all
Brendan,
the guys in it.
very funny.
I am
It's
surprised I
very
haven't watched it.
Nick Kroll is in it.
Yeah, Jason
I want to
Mantzoukas is in there.
say Jason Mantzoukas' character is hysterical. But the stinker tinker time is every Sunday morning before football games started. While he was pooping, he was tinkering with his lineup, and that's his stinker tinker time.
Tinker time. Okay. Sometimes
There you go.
it could be that you're saying nonsense, but I guess there is sometimes
Well,
something
most
under the
times.
hood. But yeah,
Most
so
times.
Jake when he's not having a good day on the mound, will try every pitch he's got, and I
He'll
think
get
confuses him
nestery with
more.
it.
Yeah, but this time I feel like he just went with what was working. He had the fastball, and he would do the giant curve, and those were his main two
The
pitches.
49-mile-an-hour curve.
Yes,
Did a great job.
Which I love that it can only work if you do it like once an inning.
Right. He was at the point where he was getting Trevor to miss high or miss low or tip it, or he wasn't allowing any like decent contact from Trevor. And for Marshall straight up like he needs to face more like good blitzball pitching because he was getting frozen too many times.
Yeah. He's got to see it more. Trevor also, it looked like a lot of his swings on the fastball were directly below the pitch, which makes so much sense because as a baseball player, you're not used to a fastball just rising out of nowhere. So in my head, if those are plain wiffle ball pitches or baseball pitches, he's smashing those because the timing looked actually perfect. It was just the placement of the bat was like a ball's height below where the ball actually was.
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
He just needs to get used to
The
solid
natural
blitzball
rise.
pitching again. Yeah. Natural rise, natural dip, whoever's throwing it. Because everybody, like, their natural way of throwing it is going to make it move some. Like, the way I throw a fastball and you throw a fastball, they're going to move differently.
Yeah, like Dan Rourke throws his fastball and it just darts to the right instead of going that far up.
Yeah. And then you go into the bottom of the first. Trevor's on the mound. And again, Brendan, Trevor does not have it. We see Trevor in the past is this power strikeout pitcher. He doesn't really rely on ground outs. And, you know, he did. He got the two of the outs this inning. I believe they were the first two outs this inning.
Yeah.
Marshall fielded, which was brilliant. I was like, wow, this is great.
The first
Trevor
time I was like,
gets,
that's awesome.
You know,
And I can't believe you got it twice.
it was like first one, ground ball, Marshall gets him. Second one, Jimmy hits a single. Third one, ground ball again, Marshall gets him. It was like, wow, Marshall's not pitching today.
Yeah.
Forgotten Rotten's going to win for sure, right?
That puts you so far ahead strategically.
Then Trevor gives up another single to Jimmy. Then he gives up a single to Jake, and it's like, oh, Trevor, what's going on?
He's still like not getting hit hard, and Jimmy's getting frustrated too. He's like, we can't play baggage ball like this and just like hit dinky little singles. We need to start doing damage, and it's still good that they're able to see him well enough to like make contact with it. But if you have two outs and you loaded the bases, Trevor's going to get angry and figure out how to strike you out or get out of the inning. And in this warehouse, you do need to do damage quickly to put pressure on the other team. And I think even though it seemed like Baggage was knocking on the door early with runs, Trevor still had pressure on them at the same time.
I mean, we saw it too. In that final at-bat where Trevor ends up striking out Jimmy and keeping it a 0-0 first inning, effectively making this a one-inning game, Trevor put everything he had into that last at-bat, and it was like, this is the Trevor we know.
Yeah.
Like,
Jimmy
got
had
frustrated a little.
I thought it was super interesting. Did you see the video of Jimmy first he was lip-reading, I think, Trevor and Marshall.
Yeah.
And he also was able to find
that's later on. That's
tipping.
second inning.
Yeah.
Where he was like, if he separates his thumb from the webbing, then or if he separates the ball from the webbing, that's a fastball or whatever. I can't believe he got 2 tips on Trevor in this game.
Yeah.
He got 2 of them, which was crazy. I wonder if he told Trevor after the game or like Trevor figured that out by the end, but before like his next game.
Yeah, you wonder. And you also wonder because Trevor doesn't do much stinker tinker time outside of the warehouse. He's only really working on Blitzball when he's here. So I wonder if this has just been going on forever, and over time Jimmy's noticed these sort of things, and he's like, okay, cool, he still does that. Easy enough.
Wow.
He kind of
That's a
shows
whole
up
new
and
element that I
plays.
didn't even think of.
Yeah. So I don't
But
know.
yeah, he started off the at bat kind of frustrated, not great, but then he calmed down and like just became the aggressive, like really good pitcher. Trevor got Jimmy
Just
to
come after
strike
you
out,
with
who
this stuff.
Jimmy had been hot in this inning.
Yeah.
If anybody was going to do damage, it was going to be Jimmy.
But the one thing that maybe that would help Trevor is because the pitches that Jimmy was seeing were slider and fastball, but
Yes.
the ones that were getting to Jimmy were more so the sidearm fastball. Because over the top fastball, you can see that's going to be up here. It's like, okay, that's an arm angle. But the sidearm one, like, oh, this could go either away from me or into me. And I think the ones that came in, fastball Sileys, was the one that Jimmy was having a problem with.
Yeah. I mean, Trevor's good. He just needs to shake the rust off.
Yeah.
We
Sure.
saw it with Jack in the last episode. We see it with Trevor again in this episode.
Yeah.
But then inning 2 comes up and Jimmy's in to start. And we talked about this with Jimmy, how we saw how good of a bowler he was in Ball and Play Captain's League. And we were thinking like, oh, he must have had so much confidence bowling because he did such a good job on the mound in Blitzball Battle 4. Not the case.
Yeah.
He wasn't bad.
He started bad.
But he definitely was not good.
Yeah. Eventually,
Definitely.
he figured it out and got out of it, but definitely started off like, oh, no, is he going to start like shit and get in his head again and then make it worse for himself?
Right.
I'm glad he
'Cause
was
he
able
ended
to
up-
get out of it.
He ended up walking Marshall to start, then giving up a big double to Trevor.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Here we go.
ooh, single, and they're on the board now.
Right.
And you take away all that great performance that Jake had pitching in the first. Then he tries to get Trevor with what Jake called a funk pitch, which was nothing, essentially.
Yeah,
non-competitive,
Right.
I believe Chris Rose calls it.
I feel like
Walks-
it's probably not true. Maybe it's just something I feel like when I'm watching, but it seems like whenever someone calls like you know what, do that again, or like, ooh, go out and away with the funk pitch. It's
yes.
like, all right, when they have a game plan, not competitive pitch immediately.
Right.
Almost never
Exactly.
works.
Never, ever works. Whenever I try to throw a curveball, and I'm like, ooh, a curveball would go really well here, and I try to sequence, I always fucking spike the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
You almost need one to get the right feel of it, so the second one could be good.
Yeah. I'm also not an athlete.
You look like one.
Thanks, Brendan. Then Jimmy is pitching to Marshall. Bases are loaded, and you're like, fuck, Jimmy. If Jimmy walks him, Baggage is down one. He throws one that Marshall gets a pretty good handle on. I think that Rose and Moylan said that it was a slow line drive back to Jimmy. It didn't look that slow. It looked like he still had to react pretty quickly and was
Yeah.
able to catch it to get his second out and get Jake back on the mound against Trevor, which is very
for me,
important.
What it looks like was that it would have confused me as a ball coming back to me because the speed at which he swung, it came off slowly for how it looks like the swing was.
Right.
That makes it. I actually got jammed a little bit, so it came off like the
Right.
skinny part of the bat. So it would have thrown my timing off as a person trying to catch the ball.
I mean, anything coming right back at you is incredibly hard.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
matter what the speed is.
Exactly.
Because I don't know about you, I'm expecting it to go anywhere. You're not expecting it to come directly back at you.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I'm different when I pitch. As soon as I release the ball, I cover my face with a mitt, expecting it to go back inside of it.
But you cover your face with the inside of the mitt.
Yeah. So even if it does come back at me, I just get slammed with the ball.
I can't see. If I can't see it, it can't hurt me.
Exactly.
That's what Brendan does. And it works, kids.
It works, kids.
And then you bring Jake back in, which ends up being huge because bases are loaded. Former professional baseball player. I don't know if you know that. Do you know that Trev used to play in MLB?
I did explain that to my wife.
You have a
Yesterday.
wife?
Check it out.
Whoa! you always keep it there on your finger?
Yeah, for the audio only listeners, I just dragged my wife out from under the bed by her hair and showed her on camera.
No.
See,
I'm not
here
going
she
to
is.
allow that. I'm not going to allow that, Brendan. He showed his ring, but it was above his middle knuckle. It was not.
It's
where
pretty
it was
loose.
supposed to
I'll be honest, it's pretty loose.
Yep, it's not as loose as mine was.
It's true. Listen
There
back
you
to
go.
Jimmy O'Brien's
Here's your 11.
last episode
Pete.
with us.
I said at the fucking jeweler, I said, I turned to Kristen. I go, is it supposed to be this loose? And she goes, yeah, it's fine. Liar.
Liar.
She lied to me.
And now they're divorced.
No, we're not divorced.
Peter will not stand for lies today. Oh, I don't see a ring.
Oh, what happened? We're not divorced. I love my wife.
I look at wife.
And good thing that Jimmy caught that comebacker, because Jake, in a very nervy at bat, because Trevor's trying anything he can to make sure that Rotten doesn't go scoreless in regulation. Jake is doing his best. He's dotting pitches. Trevor's staying alive, works it full, foul ball after it's full, and then Jake finally fucking strikes Trevor out. Huge. Absolutely huge. We talked about how much momentum is important in the last episode.
Yeah.
It was so important here for Jake to strike Trevor out. Routinely one of the better hitters in this entire tournament in every iteration of it.
Especially after Trevor's been seeing him now time and time again, and he just you expect by this point in the game, when the game means something and you've gotten a few looks, this is when Trevor turns back into the MLB player.
Right.
But
even after Trevor struck out, it's almost like Trevor's not taking it serious until it's knockouts. So,
well, it's funny because the first inning when he struck out a couple times, he talked some fun banter.
Jake.
He seemed mad after that one. He's like, well, sure, the games don't matter to me right now, but my ego is still hurting a little bit right now.
Said that's what you fucking thought. But then we go into Rotten pitching, and it's like, oh, Marshall doesn't have to pitch. Trev can extract his revenge here, send it to an at-bat off.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost felt like that, because Trevor goes up against Jake, gets Jake to ground out. Then Jimmy comes up. Jimmy hits a single, and that's when the reveal was, where Jimmy was like, got a fucking tip, by the way. If he's got space between the web of his thumb and the ball, that's a fastball, which is also kind of fucking insane to be able to see that.
Is nuts too, yeah.
Is crazy.
It's not that dramatic of a finger placement to be able to see it 45 feet away.
Right. Then you see Trev being aggressive on the mound against Jake in the next at bat, which is what we expect from Trevor.
Because he should pound the zone because his stuff is good enough where it can get past people if you're throwing strikes.
But then it comes into play again. Trev throws it gets another full count. Jake pops one up that I feel like if you have Zoe or Drew Davis or Jack or somebody used to warehouse ball in there, they're making that catch. Marshall straight up admits he thought the ball was going to be coming right back to Trevor.
Yeah.
And it ended up falling right behind them. They get another single.
It was very close to being a double. I guess it doesn't matter in the end, but
right.
It was maybe a foot or two away from hitting that back wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where as the games go on, Marshall is going to learn more and more about the warehouse, and he's going to become more and more of a weapon, because I think the groundwork is all there. Marshall is set up to be good.
The fact that we, not to skip ahead too much, but the fact that we see him throw any strikes at all is a good sign.
Right. Then Trevor walks Jimmy. You have bases loaded, 1 out. And that whole first at bat where Trevor smothers the ground ball to get the out kind of means nothing now. And it's almost like Baggage is going to win this game. There's with the way that Trevor's
going to be a
today,
hit or a walk, I guess is the question at this point.
Right. Trevor at 70% or whatever he was during this game isn't going to work against a Jimmy who is seeing the ball really well. And Jake, who's decently patient, even though he's not getting the results that he really should be.
Mm-hmm.
And you see this, as you talked about earlier, their least favorite way to win a game is on a walk. And you saw Trevor go 4-0 down. I mean, Jake go 4-0. Yeah, Trevor go 4-0 down on Jake. And Jake being like, I don't want to do this. Swings at a pitch that probably would have been ball 5.
Right.
And pops up to Trevor to get 2 outs.
It's like a coach's worst nightmare.
Right.
You get screamed out on the bench for this.
Exactly.
But I guess it's not as big of a deal right now because playoff game, no chance Jake does that.
No.
He knows
Absolutely
that. I think they're like, well, we have another chance to win this anyway. Let me just try and do it more entertaining.
Yeah. And then Jimmy steps up, 2 outs, bases loaded. It's the final at-bat of regulation. Forgotten Rotten decides, hey, it's pool play. Who fucking cares? There's no eliminations before the playoffs. Let's get Marshall in there to start throwing a little bit.
Yeah.
So that he gets used to the zone and how to throw a blitzball and all this other stuff.
Do you think if
like,
Forgotten Rotten had a lead, like 1-0, would they have put Marshall in?
No.
So it's just because we might lose anyway. Who cares at this point?
Yeah.
Let's get reps.
I think so. And I think that at this point, they're not really in a position to be very good in an at-bat off. So he said, whatever, just let Marshall pitch now, get used to it. Marshall comes in, first practice pitch, whizzes right by Jimmy's face.
Yeah. You're watching the warm-ups and they're going every which direction.
He's not even close to the zone. He's so erratic. It was crazy because Jimmy told us that Marshall was a pitcher, right?
Yeah.
Which we've seen before with Moylan and his pitching. Doesn't necessarily mean that it will translate to blitzball.
Right.
But then the first pitch of the actual at bat comes. Jimmy doesn't swing; it's a strike.
It has it's almost like a cutter.
I would say for most of the at bat, most of the pitches that Marshall threw did not miss the zone by much. They were all competitive pitches. I probably would have swung at a couple.
Yeah, it's just funny how all right, it's game on now. I'm locked in.
So it was was he hustling him?
Yeah.
And then he had a big miss, and it's oh no, he was just getting very lucky. Either he was getting very lucky, or he made really quick adjustments once Jimmy stepped in.
Right.
And then, it was a full count. Marshall really for your first time pitching in a competitive setting in the warehouse, a full count walk is not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
It just happened to be the walk-off walk.
And in that situation, too, knowing the circumstance, tough to even get that close to striking somebody out.
Right. And then that's the game.
Yeah.
Kind of boring, but kind of a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
The biggest thing being Trevor being at 70% for seemingly the whole game. It almost feels like it should have been, Trevor starts at 70, and then by the end of the game, he's at 85. And it just never felt like he took that step forward.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of where I understand the thought process of them wanting to get Marshall in there just for a few reps, but it's not really one at bat. Does that really help that much? And it kind of felt like Trevor was giving his brother the game to lose instead of it being on his shoulders in a way. It felt a little cowardly in that respect. And I feel like Trevor should be trying the whole game because that to me as an opponent would be more intimidating. I'm all right, Trevor doesn't give a fuck what the stakes are. He's gonna just try and roll through everything.
Yeah, but I also like Marshall coming in for live at bats because then Marshall comes in to face people who have played blitzball before. If you're really in there and you're legitimately trying to get reps in,
yeah,
I would rather be in getting reps against the locked-in Jimmy O'Brien that, you could lose the game because Jimmy's been hitting well and seeing the ball really well this game, rather than somebody who... I'm trying to think of who would be a good comparison here. Somebody like Dan Rourke, who's not known for blitzball. He kind of just
not consistent with
found himself in all 4 tournaments.
Yeah.
But he's not been on a single team every time, or somebody Joe's who can hit, but he's not known for kind of getting antsy and swinging at pitches that he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You'd rather like take your practice up against Jimmy and be like, this is what I should expect the better hitters to be chasing, and this is what I should expect the better hitters to be leaving behind. And getting 2 strikes on Jimmy's pretty huge for
Yeah.
your first time in there. I think that it was a legitimate, like, here, get a feel for it. Like,
Yeah.
I think Trevor was like, we lost this game regardless. If we go to the swing off, we probably lost. If we lose on a walk, at least our run differential is just a -1.
Right. I guess that's my thought process. Was like, well, why did they even bother letting Marshall take those ground balls earlier? But I guess at that time, like, well, we still have a chance to win this game. You don't know how it's going to shake out.
I mean, it was the first 2 outs. It was Rotten's first 2 outs.
So you want to give yourself a best chance to win, and then once it gets closer to the end, you're like, well, now the situation we're in, we might as well. And I guess at the end of the day, too, it saved Trevor some bullets in his arm. Not that it was going to be too many more pitches anyway. Like, I was on the fence with it a little bit. Like, if you're going to try and save your arm, what's 5 more pitches really? But then if you go into actions, then Trevor's got to throw even more because he's going to be the one that's going in probably for.
Or you got to also think, could it have been like, could Trevor have also thought, like, if Jimmy pops this up, I'm more likely to understand how the ball's going to work against the ceiling in this warehouse than Marshall is, and that he could make a run and to catch a fly ball. There's so many factors to it.
Yeah.
I don't think it was like I don't want the loss to be on me type of thing.
I know. It definitely wasn't that, but it felt like it a little bit at the time.
You just wanted to get a little rude.
A little rude. Just a little bit.
I
think mentally, though, it would look better for them to go for the jugular, even though it doesn't matter. I think there's something to the intimidation factor, especially with Trevor being the personality that he is.
I do wonder if we're going to see, like, I don't know. This is going to sound weird. I'm sure we're going to see them in the crowd, but it would be interesting to be like, oh, Marshall and Trevor aren't in the crowd in this next game because they're in one of the back rooms, like, just throwing the ball to get used to it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised.
You never know.
Or also, like, this is a 3-day tournament in real life?
So, yeah.
So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, they go back to the hotel and they just, like, find a place and just start throwing a ball against the wall or throwing the ball to each other.
Could be.
I can't imagine Rotten is going to stay looking like this all 3 games.
No.
First game, maybe second game, but by the third game, I think they will have fully put it together. And that's the first knockout game. So
yeah, I want to see Trevor. We will see Trevor, like, start to hit more. And I'm excited to see Marshall's, like, breakout game at the bat. I hope that happens.
Yeah, Marshall's good. I think Marshall's going to be really good. He showed a lot of potential here.
Yeah.
He's so fucking big.
Yeah,
he's so big. I mean, Trevor's big. Marshall's huge. Yeah. Marshall looks like a fucking bear.
He does look like a bear.
It's crazy. I think Jimmy said at one point that it looks like Trevor showed up and is playing with his bodyguard, and it's like, yeah, you're right, Jimmy. Marshall is a fucking huge guy.
Yeah.
His voice doesn't match his looks at all.
Yeah, I think that happens with big guys a lot of times too.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like an absolute killer, and then his voice is like, I'm just a sweet guy.
Hi, guys. It's me, Marshall. I just played a clip from...
I own a shoe store that's kind of like TJ Maxx. Marshall's. There you go.
He's the Marshall.
He's the Marshalls.
He's the Marshalls.
Oh, player of the game.
Player of the game. It was quiet, but you'll hear it.
I am not envious of you, Brendan. I looked at the thing and I said, fuck, do I have player? Because this was going to be a tough one.
It's Jake.
Wow.
Easy.
Never been easy.
Easy.
Oh, take it easy.
It's Jake for me, mostly because there was no offense in this game. And
none.
Jake was great on the defensive side of the ball, as in thrower, also known as pitcher. And it was a really impressive outing. It wasn't just like, I guess I'll give it to Jake. He did deserve it. He struck out Trevor 3 times. And
he had 4 strikeouts.
It felt like every time he struck out Trevor, it was like a big moment, because I guess when you have a game that's tied 0-0 the whole game, every strikeout is a big moment. and it was just felt big because of their little rivalry too. You got the talking baseball rivalry. You got the tall versus short rivalry.
Speaking
handsome
of
versus
rivalry,
handsome rivalry.
can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy recently, in like morning meetings and all this stuff, has been talking about Talking Yanks is going head to head against a rival podcast that's doing. It's Talking Baseball, right?
I believe it's Talking Giants, honestly.
Okay, because
Or it could be the Blitzball boys.
I keep every time he talks about it, he's like, "I'm not mentioning their names because they're fucking idiots." And I was like, Jimmy would never say this about anybody like but himself.
I know they've been on a subscriber race with them before, or they've been on like a 5-star review race with them as well. I'm guessing it's Panic.
Because I know that he, in the morning meeting, the one from yesterday, I think it was, he was like, "Oh yeah, they got 3 hosts and a producer, and they're all fucking idiots." And I was like, this has to be Talking
Maybe.
Baseball.
We'll get BBD. Let us know immediately.
BBD, let us know. BBD, send us your phone number. What?
Oh,
Brendan, why'd you ask for that? That was a really good impression of me. Don't do it again.
dude. I did it again.
You scumbag. But yeah, I think it was either going to be John Boy or Jake. It depended on if you wanted to go defensive or offensive, because Jimmy's really the only one who did decent offensive performance with 3 hits at 4 at bats, 2 walks, and an RBI. The RBI is kind of bullshit.
Yes, it's like it's not a bad performance, but it's also not like the best we've seen. There's no slug there at all, and like the fact that Jimmy complained about his own offensive performance felt funny to give him the player of the game.
Yeah, I mean Jake was truly dominant on the mound.
Yeah,
it's something
nobody scored.
We've been talking about it pretty much since Blitz, right? Like Jake has started to look better on the mound again, added some velo. Jake, in this tournament, we were anticipating a good showing, and he really showed that, that was the right thing to anticipate.
Yeah. Jake's been doing legs, baby.
Jake's been doing legs and arms and back and abs.
Jake, send us your phone number.
Jake, send us your phone number. Jake told us that every day, when we met him in person, he said when he works out, every day is butt day.
Yeah, and then he shook his little butt at us.
And he shook his little fucking butt at us. It was weird. He was like, every day's butt day, and then shook his butt at us and farted. And as he farted, he skipped away like a fairy would.
And then we followed him.
Not a fairy,
and skipped
like
along
a legitimate
with him.
Fairy.
We did it for like a half hour.
We did it with him. Brendan got propelled pretty far, actually. Brendan put some gas behind it. Oh!
Peter, can you do the next segment? Because I think I'm running out of steam.
What's the next segment?
You have to say it.
Oh.
Play the game.
I really wanted you to do it the way that I do.
No.
Do it.
We have our rules.
Do it, and I'll do the way that you do it.
Play of the game.
Play the game.
I don't laugh afterwards.
You do. You don't press a button. You just laugh.
It's just a room full of people behind me at all times.
My play of the game is Jake striking out Trevor at the end of the second inning.
Is Jake striking out?
Jake striking out. This is our worst episode.
We need to go to bed.
This is our worst episode. Nobody listened to this.
If you got this far, shut it off.
If you got this far, send us your phone number and shut it off. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Jimmy just gets a comebacker from Marshall to really save the inning and save the game for Baggage. And Jake comes in against Trevor, who's looking to do damage. Trevor's fouling everything off. He's staying alive. He's making Jake work. And Jake gets a fucking huge strikeout against Trevor to kill the game off.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was so
talked about
funny
this-
how each one of his strikeouts felt like a huge one, and he would give us the double guns. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be his biggest strikeout of the game, and he had 2 more after that.
Yeah. I mean, like, we talked about these like mental percentages of like, oh, we got ice. 85% chance of winning this game. Coming into this last inning with Jake striking out Trevor to end it, to me, I was like, Baggage wins this game. 99% chance of winning this game. And even after Jake grounds out in that first at bat in the second, nothing was shook from me because he gained so much more of the momentum by getting a huge strikeout on Trevor to end the second. I was certain. Like, I didn't even need to watch the rest of the game. I did, but I didn't need to.
I actually shut it off at that point.
Brendan shut it off. But for some reason the audio kept going.
Yeah.
And the volume went up to 100%. I don't know what's happening. Nicole, help. The worst episode yet.
People love this one.
I've
Peter, my phone is blowing up with all these random phone numbers and videos of people shaking their little butts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh. That's crazy. Jake is
crazy.
the Gas King?
The Gas King.
The Gas King.
Claim your role as Gas King.
Claim your role as Gas King, Jake. Do you think if you do like a Carter Caps style pitch and as you land, you do a little toot, you're going to get extra MPH on your fastball?
Peter.
You remember Carter Caps? First off, do you remember Carter Caps?
No, but to answer your question,
He was the guy who used
absolutely
to
you'll
do
get
the
more
hop.
velo.
He was the guy who used to do the
Okay.
hop. Yeah.
No, without a doubt.
Yeah.
How do you think
He's too
Wario does it in
fast.
Mario Baseball?
Hey, have a rotten day.
New sign off.
Worst app yet. Worst app yet.
Preview of the game that's happening. or
Preview
happened
of the
tonight.
game that just happened tonight.
It's even funnier that we hate ourselves in this episode. And we're still late on episodes
It's
coming out.
kind of like I'm at the point where I don't even want to do this anymore. This episode is so bad, but it's okay.
No.
We got to have a stinker every once in a while. Stinker, tinker. Whoa, call back. Not a bad episode anymore.
I watch you fully like buy into that and convince yourself. You're like, holy shit, this is actually really good.
We just went from a 0 to a 10.
It's been really hard to not laugh loud on mic today. So at least there's that.
You're welcome.
So there's that.
So last night, Brendan had his Bino tournament. We weren't able to record last night. Have to record the night of the Del Caribe versus
Yes.
hook line game.
Mm-hmm.
We have not watched it. We don't know what happened, but we're going to predict because
This
our
is the last
predictions
time we're
went
doing
so
this. We're going to be on time
That
moving forward.
maybe.
At least our next record will be before the other one comes out. The weekend helps.
How's this guy doing that?
My preview, my prediction.
Brendan's prediction.
Jesus.
Oh, a drum roll.
My prediction is that Drew Davis is going off and putting Del Caribe in the dirt. Joe doesn't have his swing down quite yet. Lou is still shooketh from ball and play, even though I think that happened after this tournament in recording. Oh, well. Lou's not himself. Joe's hasn't figured it out yet. And I still don't think Dan Kenobi is fully ready at the plate yet, but I think it's the Drew Davis show.
Dan always starts off hot, though.
And Ensign,
Oh.
I don't know. I feel like last tournament he didn't hit very well.
I don't care. Dan always starts off hot. So does Drew.
Hookline wins 4-1.
That's so rude.
Yeah.
We've only talked off pod about this, but I think I might have to change my allegiance from Hookline to Del Caribe, just because I made the joke right when the team names came out that it's Del Caribe. So I'm Peter Del Caribe.
Yeah.
Not a word, but
But it's
it
close to your last
definitely
name.
it looks a lot better when I say it typed out than when I say it out loud. When I say it out loud, it sounds awful.
I think it sounds good when you say it out loud because it sounds like a bullshit word.
Del Caribre.
It sounds like you're mumbling.
Hoo hoo hup yeah, hup yeah.
Ooh, caribou.
Caribou. That's what I just thought of because of the way I said Del Caribre. Del Caribubre.
Well, I'll definitely time for your review. I want to
Time to go to
skip
sleep.
plugs.
Skip.
Get
No,
out
we're
of
not
here.
skipping plugs.
Okay.
I think this is a tough one because it could go either way. You have two great pitchers on hook line with Dan and Drew, but you have two guys on Del Caribre who can really hit, but Joe's can't really pitch, and he has to get 2 outs, and he's also not the best fielder. So that rule doesn't really help him out too much.
Mm-hmm.
So I think also hook line will win 8-5.
Okay.
8-5, I think. I think Joe's is going to have it at the plate.
I think Del Caribe.
Wow, Nacho Libre. That's crazy.
I think Del
If you're not watching the YouTube, you need to watch how defeated Brendan just got because that was a masterpiece.
There's a lot of good visual gags here today.
Today, worst episode
Del Caribe
yet. Del Caribe
loses 5-8. That's the only thing I was trying to say. I was trying to say it so desperately right after you said it, and now it's
Why did you
lost.
just say? Why did you just say my prediction, but in the rude way? I said hook line wins 8-5, and you said Del Caribe loses
5-8.
8-5. So rude, Brendan. What should people be drinking?
Drink Subtlety. It's the drink made by me. Here's another little visual thing for you.
Wow, that's what it looks like. That's what the subtlety. I had subtlety for dinner.
Did you?
I did. I had the Oh Honey black tea with dinner tonight.
Oh, with dinner. Okay, I thought you just ate the bottle for protein.
Wow. I gotta go. Kristen, eat dinner with me really quick. I gotta go play one man tug of war later.
All right, I'll be right there. It's a family dinner.
Family dinner.
You can get your 12 packs delivered to your front door with
By who?
By USPS.
Or sometimes
me if you're very lucky. If you send me your phone number.
if you send Brendan your phone number and you live close enough,
Yeah.
Brendan will deliver.
It's got to be within a 30-second walking radius.
Do you? Oh, so you don't do deliveries anymore?
Sometimes, but mostly through the mail.
Do you still get hit on by old ladies?
Peter, I don't have to be working for that to happen.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. It's amazing how many old ladies I interact with, especially when I'm driving the North Fork of Long Island. A lot of older ladies that own businesses up there, and I'll leave it at that. I take off my wedding ring on Fridays, is what I'm telling you.
I get really good tips.
But yeah, you can use code HoppyBoys on thesubtlety.com. HOPPYBOYS. And if you want to type that into your stupid podcast apps, you can find
Wow.
that
You're really leaning into worst up yet, huh?
that is the title of a fantastic podcast that sometimes has Peter on it. I was going to have some more of him coming up pretty soon.
Sometimes it doesn't have me.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Malt Madness coming up.
Malt Madness coming up. I'll plug that more when I have more to say about it.
Yep.
But keep an ear out. You can also listen to the Lonely Boys podcast, whatever you get your podcast. It's a podcast about Gossip Girl. I did that Beano tournament last night. I was telling Peter off air that the number one ranked player in Beano showed up to the tournament.
You just showed up?
Just showed up and won our $100 and left.
Like, hey, by the way, I'm here.
But he was very kind. He brought a couple of his friends that were wearing Beano merch, and we're all newbies to it. And we're like, oh, this is not good.
It's so funny.
It was so funny. He's like, I didn't want to say anything at the beginning, but I'm ranked number one. It's like, oh, well, thanks for coming out to our first tournament. So that was pretty funny. But Pino was a great success, a lot of fun. It was awesome. If you live on Long Island, come out. We're going to be doing it at US Brews officially every third Wednesday of the month from now on. So that is easier to lock into your schedules out there.
Easier
US
to
Brews
lock
in
into your
Centerport.
schedules. It's going to be monthly?
Monthly. Every third Wednesday.
Is it? Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How long is that going to go on for?
Until I die.
Did you guys like sign up for like a set amount of Wednesdays, or is it just like
indefinite?
wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
He liked us.
He liked, yeah.
Liked me.
So go get out there, guys. If you live
Get
on
out
Long
there.
Island and if you're ever live on a Wednesday, just go.
Yeah, these 3 guys that showed up came from like 40 minutes away, and they're crazy for coming over there. But
That's
they all won
too
money,
far.
so
That's too far.
too far. But they did it.
What do you keep hitting that's making that noise?
I can't say.
All right. I'm going to plug Matthew Del Rey, my brother. I love him very much. He's a good boy. If you see him, give him a hug and a kiss. God knows he needs it. Play Pokemon Heart Gold or Pokemon Soul Silver. I'm still grinding to beat Red. So you have until, my guess is Saturday. That's when I think I'm going to try and beat him. But until then, Brendan, ask me the question.
Peter, genuinely, do you have anything else you want to talk about? I can stay on here for hours.
Yes, I do.
Oh, damn it.
Oh, I did it again.
That was a fake genuine
Back-to-back
ask. It
episodes.
was fake.
I know. Go watch us on the YouTube.
Oh, good.
The 2 times in a row, I forgot to say it. Type in the Blitzball Boys,
Watch
Blitzball
all our
Battle
visual
4.
gags.
If you scroll down, last time I checked, we were the 3rd or 4th video. If you were to type
That's
in
fucking
Blitzball
bullshit.
Boys, Blitzball Battle 4, we're there. You'll see it. Blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow.
That's us.
Hunks.
2 absolute hunks. One guy who looks like he needs a haircut and wears
Watch it.
glasses,
Oh,
and another guy who's in a basement. Can't leave.
you described yourself twice, Peter.
No, I don't, Brendan. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.